Hi, on the Woodpecker today, I finally make some shelves to store my stuff. All of the tools I've used up to now are lying around in their boxes around the shop. The others are still inside the house. I also have jigs and small pieces of wood inside. I would really like to move all of this stuff on several shelves inside the compressor and dust collector room. The first thing I do is to pick some suitable 2x4s from the wood pile on my mezzanine. When I think I have enough, I bring them downstairs and cut them a little longer than the length I need. Since all of this is recycled wood, I don't take any chances and check for metal pieces hidden in the wood. When I find one, I remove it. When I look at what I found, I think my jointer will be very happy. When all the pieces are straight on two sides, I run them all through the thickness planer. The last face is cut on the table saw. Now that I have all the pieces I need, I can use the panther router to make all the tenons of the horizontal supports. After a while, I have a nice support pile with tenons at each end. After making tenons with this tool, I always have to spend a lot of time cleaning everywhere. Now I must cut one side of the vertical support straight. Then I align them together, clamp them, and cut them to make them all the same length in one shot. With the supports still clamped together, I mark the placement for the shelves mortises. Now I'm ready to switch tools for the slot mortising machine. First thing to set up is the height of the cutter. I use one shelf support to find the height. Next, I set up the width of the tenons. The last thing to do is to clamp a stop block so all the mortises will end up at the same place, and I cut them. For the other mortises, I had to be creative for the stop block because the stop is far away from the table. Now on one support, I mark the height of the side plate. Next, I cut a notch on 3 of them. I also need a rail on top to screw the whole assembly. After marking it, I cut this notch also. Now I must make more notches for the other rail, which will be aligned to the 2x6s of the wall structure. Now I have a small problem. The tenons are longer than the mortises. This is an easy fix. Why aren't all my mistakes that simple to fix? Next, I cut all the horizontal supports to their right length. Then I can glue each support together with construction adhesive glue. Before tightening the clamps, I check if it's square. Then I scrape the excess glue and put it inside the next mortise. When all 3 horizontal supports are clamped up, I put them aside and glue the next one. After a while, I have 4 of them lying on the floor and 2 clamped to my router table. When the glue is dry, I remove the excess glue. Then I can clamp a series of 3 supports together and check if they're all aligned. Some supports are not at the same place as the other 2, so I trace what they should be like and cut them on the table saw. I clean the rest with a chisel plane. René is right. This looks like a bunch of old 2x4s glued together. So I trace a curved line on a piece of MDF and cut it on the scroll saw. Then I need to fine-tune the shape. Now I can use this pattern to trace the new shape of the supports. Then I cut them. René was bored, so she came to help, and together we sanded all the curved shapes. Next, I make a round over on all the sharp edges. When I finish one, René sands it. Then, just like I did for the vertical supports, I clamp the 4 back rings together and cut them to the same length in one shot. Next, we screw them in place. Finally, we check if this assembly will work as I planned. Then I remove the screws, spread some glue, and screw it back again. When we try the other side, I notice that because of the cyclone, I have to remove one horizontal support. So I cut it. Then I glue and screw the last assembly. The next day, I sand and clean the excess glue. The external wall has a brace sticking out, so I mark its placement. Next, it's just a matter of removing the wood behind the brace. After it's all cleaned up, we can finally start to cut some shelves. The shelves need to be flush against the wall. To do so, I need to cut a notch in front of the vertical supports. When it's done, we try to put it in place. Then I cut one corner round. This way I have less chance of hurting myself than with a sharp corner. When all the shelves are done, I sand them. It's mostly just to clean the wood. Next, I clean each piece with alcohol. Then I can do all the necessary setup to be able to spray 2 coats of water-based varnish. When all the supports are varnished, we lay them down on small pyramids. Then it's time for the shelves. When everything is dry, I drill holes for the mounting screws. And finally, screw them to the wall. To make the installation on the other side, we need to move the compressor. At this moment, Vincent and Martin are saying to themselves, "Lucky that you put this compressor on casters, because we wouldn't have come back to move it again." When it's on the other side, we can install the other support assembly. And finally, put the shelves in place. Each one is screwed in place. Next, we move the compressor back to its place and install the other shelves. The last thing to do is to bring back the dust extractor. A normal woodworker would have done this in a weekend. But it took me 3 weeks to finish this project. It's true that I spent every weekend snowmobiling. But someone had to shovel the snow from the roof of my cottage. I don't want to see my chimney on the ground again. But now I have most of my jigs near me and a lot of free space. But I'm not sure how long this will last. And finally, all my tool cases are at the same place. This is the first storage space in my shop. This won't be the last one I'll build though. But that will be for another episode of the Woodpecker.